President Zelenskyy also had some very strong words for the boobs on the UN Security Council. Hold Russia accountable and kick them off the council or close their doors because they're useless. Watch.
Now we need decisions from the Security Council for peace in Ukraine. If you do not know how to make this decision, you can do two things. Either remove Russia as an aggressor and a source of war, or the other option is please show how we can reform or change, dissolve yourself and work for peace. Or if there is no alternative and no option, then the next option would be dissolve yourself altogether.
I like that option. The UN Security Council formed to maintain international peace and security. But guess what? Russia is one of the 5 permanent members, and the commies are able to veto any resolution or negotiation. So should the council just dissolve itself and start over without Russia? Is that possible? Let's get into it with tonight's panel. We've got conservative strategist and vice president of PR for Z Labs. It is Chris Barron. And we've got host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast. We'll see how aggressive he is tonight. He used to be an aide to Senator Chuck Schumer. Christopher Hahn is back. And look who's pinch hitting tonight. Director of the Libertarian Institute, editorial director of antiwar.com. It is Scott Horton. Welcome, everyone. Scott, I will start with you. Should the UN Security Council dissolve itself, or should the UN be dissolved?
Well, I would definitely do without the UN altogether, but that's not really in the cards. And frankly, in the world we live in, I don't think we should really start talking seriously about who should lose their veto power, because we don't want that to really be up for grabs. Our veto power on the UN Security Council is all important. And frankly, the victors of World War II are going to sit on that Security Council forever as long as the UN exists anyway. So that's really, neither here nor there. But I'd like to say real quick that I give 2 solid cheers to your previous guest, and especially, for the part where he said Biden and Antony Blinken, our Secretary of State, should be doing a full court press to negotiate to end this war. That clip that you played at the beginning of the general or whichever expert saying this war is going to drag on for years and years. Yeah, because of their treason against the American people. And I don't mean that in a literal sense like the Constitution working for a foreign power, unless you say that, they're working for the nuclear missiles against stability and, peace between America and Russia. And your previous guest is absolutely right. Antony Blinken, it's now been 21 days since he spoke with Sergei Lavrov. And he should either be on a plane to Geneva now or resign. And I keep saying that week after week after week on your show. And he's still sitting there doing nothing as the war rages on, because I believe that's what the Biden administration wants.
That seems to be the case that General Milley was making today, Chris. That, it's almost like a wish list for him for this thing to rage on for years. I cannot imagine why, with the atrocities that we've seen and what it's doing to people in Ukraine and Eastern Europe and, of course, in Russia with the sanctions. So why isn't this administration more serious about peace?
No,
that's for Chris. Sorry, Chris Hahn. I forgot we had 2 Chris's, because one of you is Sexy Pants and the other is just kind of annoying.
And I thought we were getting Chris Barron from the Spin Doctors when they tried to book me today. I was like, whoa! Anyway, look, obviously this is a very difficult situation, and anything that the Biden administration could be doing more of, they should be doing more of. I agree, there should be more conversations of peace. But this is a very difficult situation internationally, and Putin has not so far indicated any willingness to back down, no matter who is reaching out to him, when they reach out to him, how much they beg and plead for him to move on there. I do agree that we do need to show some strength, and maybe it was a bad decision not to show our teeth with the sonic missile that we tested, the supersonic missile that we tested. So I would imagine that we should be doing more in that regard. But that said, international diplomacy is not easy, and this is a very difficult situation, and it's going to take some time to resolve.
They haven't spoken in 21 days. Our Secretary of State and the Russian Foreign Minister haven't spoken in 21 days.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Scott here, because
you can't excuse that.
If you've got Turkey and Israel who are having active discussions, and the United States is sending, $800 million more in aid, Why can't they be sending humanitarian aid, and why can't they be picking up the phone trying to end this thing like real diplomats? I thought that's what the United States did.
I'm not disagreeing.
I thought that you know, if that's our role in the world, to be the moral leader, then isn't the most moral thing seeking peace right now, Chris Barron?
Yes, but the problem is the Biden administration has viewed this as a political winner from the very beginning. And that's the problem here. They have viewed confrontation with Russia as a political winner because everything else this president has touched has fallen to crap. And so they thought this was an opportunity for him to show himself as a commander-in-chief, to bolster his flagging poll numbers, and to save Democrats in November. Instead of trying to save Ukrainian lives, he's more concerned about a political narrative. And let's be honest, right now, for a year and a half, there's been genocide going on in the Tigray region of Ethiopia. The UN and the U.S. has done nothing to stop it. So let's not pretend that somehow the UN is this global police force for good, or that the U.S. is going to be able to implement peace and happiness all over the globe. The fact is that bad things are happening every single day across this planet. And if we want to stop the bloodshed in Ukraine, we should be bringing the parties together at the table and figuring out a negotiated peace rather than trying to stare down 6,000 nuclear weapons pointed at this country just because this president wants a political win.
No, if you ask Hillary Clinton, she'll tell you we need to send them more lethal aid immediately, that she'd be doing more of getting people killed. All right, Man Panel is going to stick around coming up. Now, breaking today, new emails obtained by Fox News suggests Hunter Biden has been financially involved with his father's inner circle for at least a decade. What? Yes, a new email from 2012. It wasn't new. I mean, it's 10 years old. Shows the president's current chief of staff, Ron KLAIN, soliciting a donation from Hunter for a nonprofit KLAIN was running. And KLAIN specifically asked Hunter to keep the payment quiet. Shh. Writing, quote, "We need to keep this low key because raising money for the residents now is bad PR, but it has to be done." A Justice Department investigation into Hunter Biden, of course, underway. We talked about that last night. But are people like Ron KLAIN still working behind the scenes to keep things low key, to protect the big guy? The Man Panel is back. Chris Barron, Christopher Hahn, and Scott Horton. Chris Barron, is this problematic or unsurprising? Do you think that Ron KLAIN has to explain?
Well, one, it's unsurprising. Two, it's problematic. And Ron KLAIN, three, should have to explain, but the legacy media has a really interesting playbook for how to treat a Trump scandal and a Biden scandal. In a Trump scandal, every inference is given to the assumption that Trump actually did something nefarious. Every fact in question is viewed through the lens of Trump actually did something wrong. Every Biden scandal is the inferences are immediately the assumption Biden did absolutely nothing wrong. Every fact that's in question is viewed through the lens of course Biden did nothing wrong. The fact is, KLAIN should have to answer, and we should have a legacy media that is out there asking these tough questions. Unfortunately, they're more interested in protecting the president and protecting a progressive political agenda.
And the explanation from the Washington Post why they sat on the Hunter Biden laptop stories for 2 years, like, well, I mean, it looked really bad, and then, we had to verify everything. New York Post did it in a couple weeks, and they were right. So who else is involved in these schemes? Chris Barron, or sorry, Chris Hahn? One of the Chris's. I don't know.
Well, I read the I read the article. This is a charity that was not part of the vice president's actual job. Ron KLAIN was no longer working for the vice president. It was a charity to restore the vice president's residence.
So why not just go to legitimate, well-heeled donors who could personally write checks?
He was.
Why did
he was spreading it around trying to raise. He was trying to raise $20,000 to keep the charity open, or it would have lost its 501c3 status.
Yeah, no.
And they were trying not to make a big deal out of it. But this is not a huge scandal, but I guess it distracts from Ivanka Trump testifying before January 6th today, and Jared testifying yesterday. So it's great. They're running out of things to say about Hunter Biden, so they're going for this ridiculous story about Ron KLAIN sending a fundraising email to many people, including Hunter Biden.
Okay, so what you're saying is a creepy old nepotist is fine as long as it's your creepy old nepotist. Scott Horton.
No, I don't believe
that's
that
what you're
at
saying.
all.
Absolutely,
But I will
1000%.
tell you, I will tell you this:
That's
what you're saying about this story is blown out of proportion. It's a little ridiculous, and it's a stretch to say the least. If you read the Fox News article, it's very clear there was nothing nefarious going on. You're just using Hunter Biden's name because he's the bogeyman now.
Stop talking.
Bogeyman.
Have you read some of the actual? I mean, I know you are patting yourself on the back and probably spreading your shoulder in the process, but have you actually read about the millions of dollars and the number of ways that Hunter Biden enriched himself with zero expertise, potentially compromising national security, using his dad not only as
How
access,
many patents
but
did
as
Ivanka get on Air Force One to China with her father as president while she had a job in the White House? Where's the outrage over that?
Okay, so
Why should
Chris,
people be outraged about Ivanka Trump? Why should people be outraged about Ivanka Trump? She wasn't doing coke and making sweetheart deals while his company, like, give me a freaking break.
I will say this.
She was sitting next to the president in China. Come on, Chris.
Yeah, but was she working as a senior advisor to the president? I can't remember. Oh,
Yes,
that's right. She was.
She was.
Yeah.
She was.
Okay,
and
well,
she
that's
got
different.
patents in China while she was working as a senior advisor to the president on our payroll, flying to China on our plane.
Scott Horton.
Oh, blue and on. Blue and on.
Man, I hate to admit, I agree with the Democrat guy here a little bit tonight that this particular story doesn't seem like that big of a deal. But there is plenty of real scandal in that laptop, as you say, Kennedy, about some of these business deals. And the real scandal nobody should lose sight of is the conspiracy between the CIA and the major media and the major tech companies to bury this story. So on a year and a half ago, this was the Republicans' October surprise. Crackhead Hunter had left his laptop full of all these secrets and lurid images and all of these things, and they just absolutely memory hold it like 1984. They refused to let people share the links on Facebook and Twitter. The major media all just clamped down and said, this is Russian disinformation because the CIA said so, and that was a total lie. It was always a lie, and at the same time that the CIA was doing that, this is just like they did with Russiagate, a total hoax 4 years before. The FBI, while the CIA was suppressing the Republicans' October surprise, they were inventing their own on the part of the Democrats. And that was the frame-up job on the total hoax that was perpetrated by FBI agents and their informants to invent this fake conspiracy of a bunch of Trump supporters to kidnap and murder the governor of Michigan.
Oh, God, that's right.
That the FBI, acting just like the CIA, acting as American secret police here against the sitting president of the United States to essentially smear him that his supporters are a bunch of white supremacists, terrorists, etc. When that we know now is a total hoax, which is pretty obvious to some of us at the time.
Shoes in China. Oh wait, she was a designer before she was in the White House.
She was.
Yeah, she was
she
a
got
designer.
patents
She was.
while she worked in the White House.
Yeah. And she was a designer before she worked in the White House. So great shoes.
So what? A horrible designer trading on her dad's name.
So buttons. So if you don't want crazy old white people and exploiting their nepotistic relationships, and stop voting for them, I can't say the D-I-P-S-H-I word, but I really want to. Okay, thanks everyone. Chris, and Scott. Scott, you're the best one. You win.